Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Roten for the Win. This video I wanted to talk about my experience as a Disney bride, that entire process, things that I learned along the way. So we just got married in February of 2020. We just literally celebrated our 6-month anniversary of being married, and I never thought we would be a newlywed couple to go through quarantine, but I don't know what to say. Like, I love every moment of being married. I'm still on cloud 9. I still can't believe that was my wedding. It literally felt like a dream. The whole day went by like a dream. I just want to talk about some of the things that I learned along the way and just the whole Disney experience. So if you're looking to have a Disney wedding, hopefully this video will give you some insight to what that actually looks like. So for my 25th birthday, Dante and I took a trip to Disney World. We were already going for my birthday anyway. So we decided, I knew in my heart that I wanted to have a Disney wedding. I've been saying that since I was like 7 years old. We set up an appointment to have our just wedding consultation while we were at Disney on my birthday. We looked at lots of other venues. We looked at having like a desert wedding, just in the wilderness with our closest family and friends, the cactuses, the dust everywhere. There's beauty in that, believe it or not. We looked at like this fancy strip hotels. We considered maybe going back home to North Carolina, maybe having something in Mississippi. But I tell you, all the venues that we looked at, Disney was the last venue that we looked at. It was my birthday. We went in for the consultation, and they have like 25 different venues to pick from, and I wanted to see the wedding pavilion. I was interested in having my ceremony actually inside of Magic Kingdom at the castle, and then I had like one other option at Epcot that I wanted. So the first venue we looked at together was the wedding pavilion. This is actually the place that the actual ceremony took place in. Guys, when we walked in that room for the first time, that was it. I don't want to see anything else. Like, this is where I'm getting married. When you walk in that room, it's so airy and light and dreamy, and I just saw myself as a bride instantly in that room. I looked at Dante. I said, this is it. Do you feel like the vibe that I'm feeling right now? He felt the same way. At that moment, it was kind of like, okay, this is it. Now, how are we gonna pay for this? Like, how are we gonna make this come true? I was head over heels for the rest of my birthday. We started the process. So when you have a Disney wedding, you have to wait a whole year before your actual ceremony. So my birthday is in November. We couldn't say, oh, let's get married in February of 2019, because that was February 2018. Or we couldn't say, oh, let's get married this coming February. No, you have to wait an entire year to get married at Disney. Pros and cons to that, I feel like if this was any other wedding, like any other venue, the stuff that can go on in 365 days, like you have life and then you have planning a wedding. When you have all the things that life are gonna throw at you plus planning a wedding, and that's all you do for 365 days, guys, there were so many times where I was just like, can we run away and elope? You know, I don't care about any of this. I'm just ready to be married. It got like that sometimes. So that's my first piece of advice. If you're ready to get married and you know what you want and you can go for it, go ahead and pull the trigger. Some things are worth waiting for, obviously. I would not change anything about my wedding. But what I'm saying is, just spending the whole year planning and saving, and that's all you talk about for a whole year, it gets stressful and it gets annoying. So we started that long process. Obviously, with me being in Las Vegas and having a wedding in Orlando, we're having to wire money to Disney. I didn't feel comfortable putting a credit card on file. In hindsight, what I would have done, I'm just now I've had credit cards in the past, right? But now I'm kind of getting into certain kinds of credit cards and certain perks they can offer. In hindsight, some, not all, some of the transactions that I took for the wedding would have been done on some type of reward-based credit card, because the money that I just spent at Disney, if I had a Disney credit card at the time, I could have probably stayed at Disney for 6 months in a hotel, parked tickets, bought my front, like, really look at certain types of credit cards when you're planning a wedding. I would have used credit cards on some items, not because I couldn't afford it, but because I want the perks that come along with it. And I'll do a whole nother video on credit card perks and the different things that I've been experimenting with since quarantine that have turned out really, really good for me. But so we start the process. We're wiring money. We're going to the bank every so often. And like the times that we would go to the bank to wire whatever that, you know, we had a year to pay for it. Basically, you had to be done, but all your payments, I think like up to 30 days before the actual wedding date. So that's another thing. You do have because you have to wait a year, you do have a whole year to pay for it. Another thing that really helped me with this wedding was stocks. Investing in stocks and reaping the rewards of those stocks. So I would say start while you're young. Look at stocks and look at investing. Up until the wedding, I did go to a couple of different bridal expos. When your time comes, look for bridal expos in your city. Tickets usually cost like $25, but it's literally just a huge expo of everything bridal. Invitations, paper goods, dresses, cakes, you name it. All the resources you need for your wedding are right there. We went to Silhouette Bridal here in Las Vegas, and I had my appointment. The lady asked me what I want, and I said, I want a dress that I want to be the chandelier of whatever room I enter on my wedding day. I want people to stop breathing when the doors of the venue open. That process alone took about 9 months. Another thing, if you're gonna get married, go ahead and get on your dress hunting process now. Luckily, I found my dress the very first time I formally went dress hunting. However, it took him 9 months to make the dress. Imagine if I had found my dress 6 months after the fact, and now I have to wait 9 whole months. So it just depends on what route you're going on with the dress. Now, as far as like logistics at Disney, we ended up taking a trip to Disney in August of 2019. And this trip was specifically for wedding planning. We had already solidified, like money has been gone. We literally flew down to do cake tasting, menu tasting, look at venues again, talk about music. We literally had like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. of planning all day with our wedding planner, down to like the outfit of what the waiters would wear at the reception, the napkins, and then the way the napkins would be folded on the table, like literally every little detail, things that you don't even think of. The wedding planner is going to go over all that with you. My wedding planner herself, she was amazing. I appreciate her energy. She was right there. I remember I had a moment at my ceremony where my reception, where the back of my earring kept coming off. I kept losing my earring. One of my bridesmaids took hers off to give it to me. That was really sweet. But my wedding planner, she came over and was like, I see you struggling. I have earring backs. Like, she literally has her little emergency container kit of everything that could possibly go wrong on your wedding day. She attended to me that day. However, this is not her fault, but I feel like the wedding planning process at Disney is archaic. Coming from a place where I work in a technologically advanced environment, I expected more from a company like Disney. In my mind, if I could like redesign the whole interface as a bride, I should have an online portal with all of my information that I can go on and see, okay, this is the flower selection, this, I paid this amount here, this is like, I didn't have that. Everything was mainly on paper. For that reason, I would say slightly chaotic, slightly unorganized at times. You really have to be a patient person, and I will say I had the best wedding planner. She, like I said, that's not her fault. She works there, she works with the resources that she has been given, but it just made, I'm sure, her job really frustrating, because it was frustrating for us as bride and groom. So when it comes to wedding planning, really looking at every single detail and seeing, how can I save money here? How can I take this here, maybe turn it here to move this money here? If floral is really important to you, maybe look at taking money out of the budget for invitations and things like that. It's all about moving money around. Clearly, as we got closer, it was just like, okay, I'm sick of this. I don't want to move nothing. I don't even care no more. Just make it happen. That's where we were at the end of the process. So we get to Orlando. I have really, really bad anxiety and sometimes depression. Everybody knows anxiety and depression are best friends. And I was doing okay without my medication, and we can talk about that on another video, y'all. But I was doing okay. But I remember that weekend I had to get back on my medication because I was just so nervous. I would consider myself a introvert. I have a very boisterous personality. I'm loud, I'm a character, but I easily, I get depleted quick when I'm out of my bubble for a while. And especially when I felt like this weekend, the attention is on me. That is draining for me. I hope I'm making sense when I say that. And not that I don't appreciate everyone doing all this for me. It was just like, oh my gosh, information overload. But luckily, you know, I stayed on my medication the whole weekend. And I just said, you know, people are here. They love me. They support me. Deep breath, you know? So it was just a lot. A lot of emotions were high that weekend. I remember we got into town and we spent, Dante and I, our last couple of days together. And I kept trying to tell myself, we're getting married. After this weekend, he's all mine. I don't have to share him with his friends, none of that no more. But as people started coming into town, you know, I was getting pulled this way, he's getting pulled that way. We saw even less of each other the days leading up to the wedding. But I really enjoyed my friends and my family. So grateful that everyone traveled from far and wide. People sacrificed so much to be there that weekend, and there was a weekend I'll never forget. It's a dream come true, a literal dream come true. Matter of fact, I think I remember crying because my dream was coming true. I just had a moment like, well, now what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't have a dream anymore. Like, oh my God. It was a literal dream come true. The wedding is happening. I remember waking up like 3 a.m. that morning, which is roughly what? 1 o'clock Vegas time. So super jet lag the whole time I was there. Makeup comes in super early. As soon as the makeup got there, I remember waking up a little extra early to just kind of have a moment for myself before things got crazy, and I'm so glad I did that. My wedding was at 9 a.m., which means I had to get up 3 or 4 to be ready by 9. If you can, try to maybe push your wedding later in the day, and whatever you do, have a moment to yourself. Take a nice hot bubble bath, read like an encouragement self-love book, have a cup of tea. This is the last moment you will be a single female. Essentially, in a couple hours, you're gonna be a wife. You already signed your marriage certificate, hopefully, before the wedding, but it's real. So have that moment for yourself. As soon as the makeup got here, bridesmaids started trickling in, my mom started trickling in, people doing all of it. This is what makes my anxiety like. And I just remember I was breathing. I said, I'm gonna let everybody else do whatever they need to do around me. The only person I can control is me, and I'm gonna sit right here and I'm gonna get my makeup done. Just remember sitting here taking in that moment. When photography got here, I had a really, really pushy photographer. He was telling people where to go, and people were like, rude, you know, but I'm glad he did that because them pictures was bomb. Like, now I see why he was so mean and pushy, because those pictures came out amazing. But when photography get here, he was really demanding, which again kind of heightened my anxiety a little bit, but I was like, I'm just gonna ride this wave. So my bridesmaids got me all dressed up. My hair was done. My bridesmaids also had their makeup done. I wanted to have a nice uniform look, professional makeup look. I needed these pictures to be fly. So I went on, took care of the makeup for my bridesmaids. We had talked about hair and practiced hair months in advance. So that worked out just fine. And then the day just kind of flowed on. I remember we stayed at the Grand Floridian. Grand Floridian, best hotel experience, not because it's Disney, but best hotel experience I've ever had hands down. Every time I go back to Disney, now I have to stay at the Grand Floridian. It's great. Grand Floridian, I remember sauntering around in my dress, and I felt like a star. Like, people were stopping, they were staring, they were taking pictures. I had a camera crew following me. I had video and pictures, just feeling like, wow, like just a few moments ago, I was a regular girl. I could walk down the road and nobody cared. They wouldn't look twice at me, you know? But now people cannot believe that this Black girl is in this huge designer dress and is having a Disney wedding. Like, where they do that at? That's the look I was getting. I remember turning around, Jennifer, my planner, tapped me on my back. She said, "Your carriage awaits." And I was just like, oh my gosh, the carriage. I remember she led me to like a back door through the Grand Floridian, opened up into this courtyard. And I just remember when the doors opened, the light that came through was so bright, so light, and there were 6 white ponies just there. And I could not believe that they were here for me. Like, yes, I paid my money for those ponies. However, I could still not believe that those ponies were there for me. Like, I cried. I think I cried a little bit too before coming down, but that's when I cried. We got in the carriage. My parents got with me in the carriage. The carriage drove us to the ceremony. Before I knew it, I was walking down the aisle. And that's that moment that I think every bride kind of plays over in their head, that walking down the aisle moment. Breathe and smile through it, girl. You worked to get here and your man is waiting for you on the other side. I remember getting up there to the altar, and I couldn't even hear what the minister was saying. I was just talking to Babe because I missed him, telling him how good he looked. He was telling me how good I looked. The whole ceremony was just a blur. It's a big blur. I actually have these amazing, completely Swarovski rhinestone shoes that I couldn't even wear on my wedding day because I was so shook. I just knew that if I put these heels on, I'm gonna be shook for real on the floor. So I said, let me just wear my flats. I hate to do this. I hate to wear these flats, but if I want to make it out here on 2 feet, I think I'm gonna have to wear these flats. Looking back, I wish I could have pulled through, but I was just emotions was high. I couldn't even bring myself because the heels were like, they were big. So after the ceremony, me and Babe, I just remember looking at him like, we did it. We did this. It's you and me. I can't believe we really did it. We got in the carriage. The carriage was just so dreamy with him and I in there. Took us to the reception. We had a moment to ourselves before the reception. If you can also do this, make it so during your cocktail hour, so your guests are entertained, right? You and your new husband can just sit for a moment. See if our planner pulled us a plate of food aside and some water, so we can just have 30 minutes to each other to enjoy. So grateful for her, because as soon as you step back out, you got people, all cameras, family, friends, this, that, all in your face. After that moment, went into our reception. Oh, and she did give us a sneak peek of the reception before all our guests got in there. So we got to see the cake for the first time. The way that the room was designed, beautiful. So going to the reception, and at that moment, it was just like, wow, as a little girl, this moment right here, this is exactly what I always dreamed it would be. And it's happening right here, right now. Like, wow. So the whole wedding experience itself, I do it all over again. I want to do it over again so bad. Babe is done with Disney after this, but I'm so grateful for everyone that got to be there to enjoy it with us. The whole planning at Disney process in itself, like I said, if you can just get through the part of you not being local, that's another thing when it comes to hair, makeup. I like to work with artists that I've seen their work. I know I like to handpick my artists. I love hair, I love makeup, I love everything beauty. So obviously I have a look I'm going for. I had to relinquish all that and let Disney do their magic, and they did an amazing job. just know that with Disney, like I said, you do have a minimum that you have to meet in every category. The days of the week will determine how cheap or expensive the wedding is. If it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, that will determine how expensive or cheap the wedding is. If you have a buffet like we did, or if you have a plated meal, all of that goes into determining how expensive. If you have alcohol, what type of bar you have. Bars are so expensive. Floral, entertainment, all of that, we had to meet a minimum. We went with the Wish package. So if you go online, search Disney weddings, we have the Wish package. The Wish package is designed for a certain amount of people to attend. Another thing we learned is just, you know how they say when you have a baby, you see who's really there for you and who's not. We had that same experience with our wedding. It really opened my eyes to certain family members and certain friends that, I don't know, I just wasn't really expecting certain behaviors from certain people. So that was really eye-opening. Some of that kind of hurt because I wasn't expecting some of that. But at the end of the day, I was surrounded with the people who mattered to me the most. We made a lot of just compromises to stay within our budget. Disney can rob you if you let them. We had a set budget and that's what we stuck with. If I had to say the most important investment at the wedding is probably going to be photography and videography. This time is only happening once and you want to do all you can to capture that moment. You want every angle. You want some good lighting. Spend money on the photography and the videography. Everything else, girl, like I said, I spent money on some expensive shoes, didn't even wear the shoes on the day of the wedding. I would say your dress, if you find something that you're just absolutely in love with, go for it. If you end up being over budget on the dress, like I was, I think I came in with I want to spend no more than $2,500 on a dress. I was way over budget, way over budget, but I couldn't settle. The dress, I had to have that dress. So you know what I did? I said, okay, if I went X amount of dollars over my budget, that means I need to cut the budget from somewhere else. You can cut it from your cake, cut it from your flowers, cut it from decor at your reception, decor at the ceremony. Find ways to get what you want because it is very, very possible. Would I recommend other people get married at Disney? Absolutely, I would. Regardless of the stuff that you might have to go through as far as contracts and paperwork and this person isn't calling me back and I gotta call this and wire this money. That was really annoying. I would have liked to go online and make payments like that, for example, but the type of day that I had at the end, can't make it up, can't substitute it, can't fake it. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. A couple things that Dante and I did to save money the year leading up to the wedding. We stayed in a cheaper apartment. Really big compromise for me. I just like certain things when it comes to an apartment, but we made some compromises because that's our biggest bill. We had to look at our biggest bill and make compromises and adjustments. We stopped traveling. We did not do a lot of traveling at all for the year 2019. We traveled when it was essential and just little sacrifices. I think I stopped getting my nails done. I think I was getting my eyebrows done once a month instead of every 2 weeks. That stuff adds up. So finding ways that you can cut back, maybe do things yourself. I think Topaz, she was in the salon. Topaz used to get her hair done like every month. I started doing her hair at the house myself to save money. So little things you can do to save money on your big wedding day is gonna be so worth it. And if you're one of those brides like me, you're not getting married for another year or two, hold on, sis. Just hold on, push through, because when you're standing at that altar, you're gonna look back at all that and just be like, I'd do it again. I would go through that all again to be and have the moment that you want. Don't let friends and family influence you. They had their time, they had their day, they're gonna have their opinions. Friends and family are gonna have their opinions, but it's about you, your husband. This is your day. That's it. People need to be accommodating you, okay? Remember that. I hope that helps. peace and love. I hope that answers a lot of questions that maybe you were thinking about. And I'll be back soon with another video. All right. Much love.